It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 7th day of January, 2021. Coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia, Central Virginia area, right outside of Lynchburg. On a personal note, before we get started with today's show, post-chemo number 2 is going well, better than post-chemo number 1 at least at this point. I've got a little bit of a scratchy voice, sore throat this morning, which I'm doctoring on a little bit, but that's not related to the chemo at all. But so far, no serious side effects. They could, of course, still start today or tomorrow, but so far so good. A little fatigue, not sleeping really well, but at least not sick. So that's a good thing. And as a matter of fact, this morning I drove the truck for the first time in 3 months. I've talked about it before with the catheter business, getting in and out of the truck, pulled and was terribly uncomfortable. But I had to take the truck in for a regular service. Plus the battery was running down when my brother-in-law would like take stuff to the dump and stuff. He'd had to jump it a couple times and it needed inspected, usual regular stuff. And hopefully I'll be back to where I'm more mobile here in the very near future, at least as far as getting around some. So I did drive the truck to the shop this morning. Amanda followed me down and picked me up and brought me home. We, of course, stopped and got breakfast, which I was able to eat. My taster's still working, which is one of the first things to go with the side effects there for a while. You taste metal, and so far it's so good this week. So we got a good start to the week. Got a couple stories today, folks, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of an editorial comment. Some of you may have noticed. I do have some folks here already over in the chat room. Welcome aboard, Tom Henry, Gretchen, Rob Slevin's with us. Hey, Rob. Jack from down in Texas, where it's 52 degrees and sunny this morning. Nikki's here. Bonnie's here. Pete's here from London. Wow, that's terrific. Good start to the day. Okay, my lead story today was a tourist held after she illegally climbed Chichén Itzá pizza pyramid. Come on, Tug. That was supposed to be Chichén Itzá pyramid. A tourist from Tijuana raised the ire of the security personnel in Chichén Itzá when she ascended the famous pyramid of Kukulkan. Now, many of you guys have been there. Many of you have climbed the pyramid. That picture is from back in the days when it was allowed to climb. You can't do that anymore because they're trying to preserve it and figure people going up and down there are going to destroy it. So anyway, they said the woman showed some signs of intoxication, so I imagine she was toasted. Amongst boos and jeers from other tourists, the woman descended the pyramid and was quickly detained by security. She was taken to Piste, where she faced local authorities. The woman explained that she had climbed the pyramid as part of a promise to her deceased husband, whose ashes she claimed to be carrying, according to unverified sources on social media. The woman managed to sprinkle his remains atop the pyramid. And she's going to probably end up pulling some jail time in Mexico. So, all right, Azamara Captain Gianmario Sanguineti spent 6 months in exile in Glasgow, Scotland, aboard his ship Azamara Journey due to the global coronavirus restrictions. The captain of the cruise ship had been stranded on the River Clyde as a result of restrictions and has called Glasgow, Scotland, the friendliest city he's ever been to. And I think that's awful. Of course, we've got some friends over there, especially that follow us on Cruise Amigos from that area. And that's terrific. So anyway, Captain Sanguineti has finally back home. He lives in, where does he live? I think he lives in Argentina, but he's back home. And no, he lives in Peru, and was interviewed about his time spent in Glasgow. His wife, Mariana, signed up to be on the crew of the journey, which enabled her to remain on board after the tightening of the restrictions originally meant she was unable to return home to Peru. In respect, Stella Maris, Glasgow Live revealed back in September how the Vatican charity honored with special commission stamps to mark the 100th anniversary. The charity is the largest ship visiting network in the world, with centers located in over 300 ports in 55 countries, offering hundreds of seafarers and fishers a home away from home every day from their countries of origin. I did not know about this charity that helps people like Captain Gianmario out, and being able to be around folks like in Glasgow and realize what a wonderful city Glasgow, Scotland is, and the people are. So it was just it was a feel-good article at a time when we need something to feel good about. So congratulations to Captain Gianmario. And now they are back home waiting further developments on getting back to work, but that is still yet to be seen. All right, in an article written by Lisa Finkenshire of the New York Post, an apparent salmonella outbreak at a resort in Jamaica has ruined vacations for potentially dozens of holiday travelers, and now some sickened guests are considering legal action. It's a nightmare, says Chantel L. of Lincoln, Nebraska, who told the New York Post of her experience at the Grand Palladium Resort and Spa, which is echoed by other people online. I don't know how many people go to all-inclusive vacations and lose weight. Elle and her husband, Justin, secured their room at the 537-room beachside resort, which boasts 11 restaurants, 17 bars, and one of the largest swimming pools in the Caribbean. They booked it actually last February before the pandemic hit. But the island getaway dissolved into severe stomach and body cramps with diarrhea within 2 days of their arrival on December 13th, tethering them to a bathroom at all times. A number of other people reported much the similar thing. So at best count, there's somewhere about 100 people that got sick at this lovely resort. It's a lovely resort. I've seen it. I haven't been there, but I've seen it before in Montego Bay. But it's a salmonella outbreak. And folks, I'm not being critical of the resort. That could happen anywhere. There's salmonella outbreaks all over this country at various food establishments and food processing plants. So it's not just something to do with the resort hotel. So this is just reporting about a sad situation down in Jamaica. That's all it is. Salmonella can happen anywhere. Health departments have learned more about it, and this obviously one of the things they watch about. They watch about the handling of produce and stuff in the fields and or stuff around poultry houses, particularly. But it can happen, and when it does happen, yeah, it can be bad. And if you've ever had salmonella poisoning, I had it once. I had a mild case once, and it was awful. And that was when I was young and dumb. But yeah, it can be terribly nasty, and it can ruin a vacation. But I mean, anything can ruin a vacation if you get sick. It's no secret that isolation is wearing on everyone's nerves during the coronavirus pandemic. However, as quarantines and COVID-19 vaccine becomes common, the next step will be repairing the mental health damage the virus has caused. A new study finds the best way to put a smile back on millions of faces is to get out and travel. I agree. Researchers say there's a notable increase in happiness and well-being among frequent travelers compared to those who don't take any vacation or any kind of long distance trip at all. So some guy out in Washington State University has surveyed a bunch of people and discovered that travel is good for you. Yeah, duh. Let's get it healthy so we can all travel again. That's my main thing. All right, I'm going to make an editorial comment today, and it's going to be a little bit different than you would normally think my rants would be. I thought long and hard about what to say this morning about yesterday. I am obviously opposed to the activities in D.C. yesterday. I feel they were brought on and spurred on by the President, Trump Jr., Giuliani, a couple of the senators. The anarchy that was shown attacking the Capitol, it was awful. But I really don't want to talk about that this morning. I've tried to stay through this past year as nonpartisan as I possibly could. Not that I haven't taken issue with the administration, I have. When I disagree with something, I will always speak out. Whether it's the way the pandemic became held. At first, I totally supported the coronavirus task force. I supported the first lockdown. I am still on lockdown because of that. I did not support when they came out with the rules and regulations on how to reopen the economy from the first lockdown, and the very next day allowed states to go against those regulations on how to do it and reopen anyway. And look where that's gotten us. Would that have saved lives? Would that have saved a lot of people from getting sick? There's no way of knowing that, but I would assume it would. But I oppose the administration on that. I oppose the administration on their putting undue influence on the science of the whole pandemic thing. That was wrong, trying to pressure the CDC and the organizations that are working on the vaccines. I was totally supportive of the way that the administration got the vaccines developed far quicker than it ever could have happened. Now we need the ball to be picked up and run on the back end. The start of getting the vaccine distributed isn't carried far enough. It's not getting it into the arms of the people that need it the most quick enough. Again, my voice, sorry about that. But for just a second, I know there are a lot of you out there that still are hurting because of the election. A lot of the people yesterday even that were participating have been lied to so much that they actually believe they were doing something positive for our way of life and for our country, when in fact they were being led down the path of illegality and death, 4 people killed, and there were people standing right there saying, oh, no, there's no violence, 4 people dead, 50 some arrests so far, and there's going to be a lot more. I realize many of my friends that I've tried not to offend over the course of the year are Republican, conservative folks. I'm sure they're as equally unhappy about yesterday as I am. But I ask you to take your partisan hat off for just a minute. Forget all the vitriol and the negativity and the hatred of the left and the hatred, the fear of socialism, which to me, a lot of that's overblown. Take your hat off for just a minute. let's not think about your political partisanship. I want you to think about how things might have been different. Back when we realized that the seriousness of the pandemic was keeping many of us locked down voluntarily, like me. Steps were taken around the country on voting by mail. Immediately, the administration came out with, oh, no, you can't vote by mail. That's going to be fraught with fraud. We've been voting by mail in this country for 50 years. Our military has always voted by mail. Our citizens that have to work in other states from where they live have voted by mail. Our citizens that work around the world and live elsewhere have voted by mail. This has been going on forever. What is it? Arizona has been voting by mail successfully for 30 some years. Every state has their own system for mail voting. And in most of those systems, those are the ballots that are counted last. So when many of the states, to try to get past the pandemic, and people like me who didn't want to be standing in line for hours with people that might get them sick to exercise my right to vote, gave us an opportunity to vote by mail. I did it. I used it, as did all of my family. We did not want to go stand in line, but wanted to exercise our rights. Now, all this time, the administration is screaming about vote fraud. So the Republican base didn't vote by mail because they believed everything the man said. As a result, on election day, the vote tabulations came in, many of it higher Republican count because you people didn't vote by mail. The Democrats voted by mail in much larger numbers. Later, after when they started counting the mail-in and absentee ballots, that's when the Democrats went ahead in many of these states that were contested. There were charges filed. 63 lawsuits, all of them thrown out because there was no proof ever offered, despite the administration screaming about vote fraud all the way through. Remember, he started screaming about vote fraud 6 months ago. So tell me, my Republican friends, where would you have been? Where would President Trump be today had he accepted the principle of voting by mail and attacked this from the start, saying, okay, let's figure how best to do this so our citizens can vote and be safe at home rather than out in the numbers in the polls and get sick? That's my thought for this morning. I hope you'll give that some thought before you keep on with this business of vote fraud that's been no proof anywhere. So put your partisan hat back on. Hate me, hate Democrats, hate liberals, hate whoever you want. But remember, folks, living under hate isn't getting us anywhere good. We need to work together. We need to come together as Americans, not as Republicans and Democrats, and get through these terrible issues. Okay, let's go see who's here before my voice completely goes out. Let's go up to the top here. Tom Henry, we mentioned Tom, Rob, Seven, Jack, Nikki's here down in Jacksonville, Bonnie in Florida, Pete from London. Bonnie said she climbed it years ago when it was legal. I've been there, but I didn't climb it. I was too damn lazy. By then I was too fat, but I have been there. Jack says, good morning to everybody. Sonny down in Mississippi. Hey, Sonny. Gretchen's also climbed it. I figured most all of you had been here. I thought it was kind of an ironic story. This poor woman wants to scatter ashes and got drunk and did it. Pete says, morning, folks. Hope all is well now. Tom says they're coming to take him away. Haha. Well, I mean, that's Tom's being humorous. But there's, there's some people talking about 25th Amendment. My worry is at this point, has he lost control to the point of where, I mean, something really bad could happen in the next 13 days. And I'm not, again, folks, I'm not making a statement. I'm worried about that. Jason's with us. How I'm feeling? Yeah, I'm feeling great. Considering, other than a scratchy throat, I'll have to take a little more, some cough syrup when I get over there. I got some stuff that I can take with everything else. That's one of the things you got to watch with this is some mixture of stuff. I'd love to go fix me a big double bourbon and Diet Coke. That would help the cough in the throat too, but it's going to counteract all the other crap I got me on. But yeah, so far, Jason, I'm feeling good for this. Rob Slevins is listening on his phone. Thank you, Rob. Do appreciate that. And Jason says he's not a nurse. He works in the hospital lab. I've made some contact, Jason. We're starting to get some movement now here in Virginia on getting some vaccines going. I'm going to try to interview some people while I'm still on my feet from this last treatment and start, talking about the vaccines, getting it where it needs to go in people's arms as I can. So we're going to be working on that some. What we got, let's get it out there and get it in people's arms. Sensational's with us this morning, just returned from a week in Mexico. I agree. That's terrific. Glad you're with us. And where are you from, Sensational? If you can stick that in there, because I don't remember. Bonnie says, I don't love traveling. I do love cruising. I like both. I'm more of a cruiser than a traveler, but I've gone to some terrific resorts over the years and had a great time. I like cruises better because I like to be out on the water. But still, yeah, I've done some terrific resorts over the years. Have some great stories from resorts too. Tom Henry says, I carefully traveled to Florida, Cape Canaveral over the holiday, but not willing to leave the U.S. Too much could go wrong. Yeah, and I think it's going to be that way well into the year. Yesterday I did two shows. Some of you caught them, some of you haven't. I did a live broadcast. It was kind of an interesting dichotomy. A live broadcast yesterday morning about Costa sailing again in Europe. Which I'm afraid is a mistake, but they're going to try it. And then about, of course, Carnival's cancellation of Carnival Princess and Royal Caribbean, which I did via a video yesterday afternoon. Now, admittedly, I should have done that a couple hours earlier than I actually posted it yesterday, but I got wrapped up watching the DC crap. But it's kind of interesting that a live broadcast yesterday morning and a video yesterday afternoon, even a little later when the news had already broken about Carnival, I had at this point equal number of viewers. So I may be playing more with that now that I'm going to be at home for 3 months minimum more with this chemo crap. Maybe playing more with that and doing more of the video kind of news reports as opposed to live. Not that I'm going to change this show. I'm always going to do this show, folks, unless I'm sick. But maybe spend more time on this show chatting with you guys as opposed to it being purely news, and purely news will be as it happens as much as I can. I don't know. I got to play with that. By the way, if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing. We do travel and cruise industry news Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 11 a.m. And I post stuff and videos all the time. I've got a blog that I'm promoting and specializing in handicap travel since I am partially handicapped and have to use scooters. I can't walk like I used to because of my mobility issues. So I'm starting to a blog that talks about that, and because I want to do a lot more things as I can when we get the vaccine and I can get safely out again on promoting travel for disabled and handicapped folks, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then, of course, there's my journey with prostate cancer going on. So I got a lot of stuff going on this channel and my various social media outlets. So please consider subscribing. I always appreciate it. All right, let's go on back down here. Next cruise is April 11th for Tom. It's looking very iffy. You know, I thought you guys were safe. I really did. But now I'm really seriously wondering about what's going to happen. I'm thinking now, Tom, we could be into the summer before we see cruises again. So I'm thinking, yeah, April might be iffy. Sensational says, what happened to the flu? This is about control worldwide. And I don't know. That's one of those things that's a debatable issue. Personally, I believe the Dr. Fauci's and the Sanjay Guptas of the world. I think they're working on a serious pandemic, not only in this country but worldwide. I, for one, can't wait for my number to come up and get the vaccine. I've cleared it through my oncologist. There's nothing that can hurt me on as far as taking it with everything else I got going on. But I want to get to the point where I am safely able to get out of the house, which I can't right now, not only for my protection, but for the protection of my sister and brother-in-law who are older than I am. I'm the youngest of three at 72 in my household. I, for one, will be first one in line. And folks, you'll get tired of me promoting vaccines availability here shortly. Wherever I can find out there's vaccines available, I'm going to start talking about it because I want to see all you people get out there and get the vaccines, and so we can all get back on cruise ships and travel and do all the things we want to do soon rather than later. Jason says, I heard there weren't going to be any cruises until 2028. Yeah, I think that one's a little overblown. I heard that too. I think we're going to see cruises in 2021, but I think we're going to be well into 2021. And there's a possibility my European trip in October could be in serious jeopardy too. We'll just have to wait and see. Jack Wise says, I'm an unabashed conservative. I do not condone yesterday's activities. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. And I knew you were a conservative, and I consider you a friend. I'm politically, folks, and I try to stay nonpartisan as much as I can. I have issues that I'm very liberal on. I have issues that I'm very conservative on. I tend to be more conservative on financial issues, but things like LGBTQ rights, something that affects not necessarily me, that doesn't, but family members, I am most adamantly in favor of. Animal rights. You guys all know my love of pets and animals. I could not kill an animal no matter what. So I'm not a hunter. I understand the necessity of hunting. So on my farm, my cousin who controls half the farm, my mother and my uncle inherited the farm from their parents. It's gone through down to where my cousin John controls half and my sister and I control half. We do not hunt on our half of the farm, but we allow John to hunt on the farm because we know that for protection of crops and so forth, the deer need to be eliminated. He eats everything he kills. So I don't have a problem with that. I just couldn't do it. So there are issues like that I am very liberal on. On the same token, many of the social issues of the time, I look at things on how much is it going to cost and where's the money going to come from. So from that, I tend to be a little more conservative. So my trying to stay nonpartisan, and that's the part that I'm opposed to. I'm opposed to partisan politics. I'm opposed to these people being able to just control everything for years and years and years and years and years. I think it's awful. The hatred that is spewed in the political realm, I think is awful. So there are things that I'm a real mixed bag on, but I try to maintain friendships, Jack, with conservatives like you. Tom Henry's another who I feel is a little more to the conservative side, and I consider a close friend, especially when it comes to travel and so forth. And we have friends on the show that are very liberal as well. I'm friends with all of you guys and will continue to be. So I try not to offend on political issues, even though I know that this forum could be used that way. I just choose not to because I want to get as much support from as many people as possible and don't give a damn about what color you are, where you're from, what you believe in, as long as we can all get on a cruise ship and go someplace and have fun. That's all I care about. Bonnie says, I've done mail-in ballots for years due to my disability issue. Once there was concern about my signature, I was notified and had to submit proof of signature. Good for you, Bonnie. Tom says, Trump would have been better off if he'd keep his mouth shut and tweet silent. I agree. Sonny says, sad day yesterday. Yeah, it was that's a sad, embarrassing day. And there was 100 people there from Lynchburg, from this area. Now I realize that I live in a very conservative community. Liberty University, under the auspices of the Falwells over the years, is made this area extremely religious oriented and extremely conservative. I understand that, but to send a busload of 100 people from here, and I don't know what part of that they were involved in yesterday, if they actually breached the Capitol or not. I hope not. I hope they were there thinking they were just supporting the president. But 100 people from Lynchburg were up there. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed by the whole thing yesterday. Awful. So, Tom, as you know, Jax also has been going through chemo and has kept advising me on what's happening with him, which helps me. But he says, I too have had a change in my voice since beginning chemo. So this could be just from the. I hadn't thought about that. I'm thinking, hell, I'm just fighting off a cold. But I had the same thing last time too. Good point, Jack. That's a good one. Emily's here. Hey, Emily. Trying to get on my computer, and my dog got a hair, so I will post pics later. Emily, by the way, is going to be is learning how to do the contact tracing, which is awesome. Gretchen says my husband has a cousin who's in Congress. Well, those people were scared to death yesterday, and rightly so. Hope he's okay. Yeah, I hope he, saw him on TV last night. Good. And hats off to all of them for having the balls, excuse my French, because the ladies don't have balls, but having the guts to stand and get it done, even if it took them till 4 o'clock this morning. So, Jack says he's booking a Princess cruise from LA to Ensenada in October. I'm hoping that'll go. I'm hoping because that's when I'm supposed to be and going to Europe. Don has a new vlog about everything except cruising. Jason says his vaccine made him sick for a few days, but feels fine now. Let's see. Yeah, everybody's talking about vaccines now. Good. We're going to keep talking about vaccines, folks. I realize that there can be some after effects. Sensational. The only shot I'll take is tequila. Yeah, I've told a story before on this show about the last time I had tequila. The next morning, I woke up in Houston married. Unfortunately, that's a true story. And I drank the tequila in Pittsburgh. That's why I never drink white liquors. Anyway, and unfortunately, folks, that one's true. Jason says maybe he shot the groundhog. Yeah. Bonnie says, I'll post a pic of the mama cat and the 2 kittens on her Facebook page. I can't get near the kittens to catch them and get them fixed, on the mama. Keep feeding them. You'll get them. They'll tame down. Nikki says, we're in Florida where the vaccine distribution is unplanned chaos. Each county is responsible. Yeah, we need some guidance. We need some leadership. We need a plan of attack. I have no problem with the whole mobile concept, but we need to know how it's going to be done. When you can go. There needs to be better communication. I know CVS is being used for sending people out to the nursing homes and getting them done at this point. But with every CVS store and who was the Walgreens store, why not do a drive-through daily? Get them set up with, it's wintertime and that's going to suck. Or could suck from weather. But let's do a drive-through at all these CVS stores. And let's say each store plugs 150, 200 people a day. Whether it's done by appointment or it's done but let's let us know how to do this. Let's get the vaccines out there. We should be running out of vaccines, not having vaccines in refrigerators. We got to work toward that. Florida and California is a mess. Disneyland is still closed. Yeah, everything's going to be closed for a while until we really get the vaccines going. I saw Palm Beach County, this is Tom Henry. I saw Palm Beach County has opened the vaccine to anyone 65 and over. Bonnie, you need a birthday quick. Here in Virginia, it's still 75 and older. And of course, the health workers, which they're running behind on, but they're catching up. I do have some contacts now in the state that I'm going to try to get a hold of later on today to start working on that some. Bonnie says the health department in her county is hiring people for 6 months, $17 an hour to get the vaccine schedule up and running. Good for them. Jack says you got to check out now. See you later. Jack, thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time, my friend. So, all right, anyway, that's going to wrap me up for today, too. I got down to the bottom of the list. As always, folks, thank you guys for being with me. I do appreciate it, as always. Everybody out there, stay safe. Wear your masks. Socially distance. Try not to go out if you don't have to. But by all means, wear your mask at all times if you're around other people. Stay safe, and one day soon, we'll all be able to get together on a cruise ship someplace and get a vaccine as quick as you can. All right, y'all. Have a great day. I'll see you on Saturday, if not before then. Love you guys. Thanks for being with me. Later, y'all.
Thank you for watching today's travel and cruise industry news. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chillie's Cruises.